Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Will Smith. With me today, I have the owners and operators of Trigon Creations. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Talk a little bit about what you do here at Trigon.
My name is Preston Miller. I'm the builder and creator of the items in Trigon Creations. So basically what I do is I talk to the client and get their ideas, and then I build concept art for them so they can visually see it, the design, before I build it. And once we talk back and forth between designs and colors and concepts, then I actually put the paper to the wood, and then I build their design for them.
Okay, so let's just kind of start from the beginning a little bit here. So you are an Army veteran. Care to talk a little bit about your journey in the military?
Sure. So I served 23 years. I started as a mechanic, and then had opportunity to change over. I went artillery, military police, and I was an E6 at that time, and I commissioned over to an officer.
Okay.
And then I got chosen to be chemical. So I was a chemical officer, and I did that about 10 years, and I got promoted to captain, and then became a commander. And then after that, decided to retire. And I tried a regular job for about a year and a half, and absolutely hated it.
So what year did you retire?
2021.
2021.
Yeah.
So just as COVID was just starting, or just like?
It was kind of like, I think, in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
2021. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember spending a lot of time at the house and during the military, so I didn't have to go to work that much. But then
I'm sure you were awfully upset.
Oh yeah, darn! I got paid good and got to stay home. But I had to figure, like, I did a year of depression when I got out. I mean, I had a civilian job. They hired me before I got out.
Yeah.
So I had that one, but I didn't have a break. So I took off my uniform and put on like a business attire, and I went straight to work right after that. And
swapped one uniform for another, huh?
Yeah. And went through depression. The civilian job, was chaos. No continuity, no SOPs. Everybody had to one up each other. No teamwork, no leadership. Not what my culture's used to.
Yeah.
And also being back at the bottom of the barrel didn't help at all. Anyway,
you went from commander of a company to that.
Yeah. And then no one would our job in the military is to execute missions and to find better ways of doing things to accomplish a mission, and they just weren't having it. I was a good idea guy for a month until I decided not to put any good ideas anymore because it wasn't moving forward.
Underappreciated, pretty much.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's just they didn't understand my my way of doing it, because I'm big on time management. We move much faster in the military, getting things done, and they move at a snail's pace. And it's just that what do you call it? The personalities and stuff. I couldn't be myself because the way we talk is different from the way they talk, and I had to think about the words I'm going to say before I say them. So, because we're more
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So I had to be, more sincere, more, I can't be direct because they'll take offense and take it personal.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be personal about it. I'm just trying to let them know, hey, you need to speed it up. You know what I'm saying?
So you talked about your depression for a little while. That honestly sounds a lot like me. I did my 12 years in the Army. I got out in 2016. I also had a job offer before I got out. So I basically swapped from one set of boots to another. I got a job working in automations engineering, which is essentially like in the construction realm. So I did that for 7 years. And, I worked with a couple military people here and there, but hit a point where it's like I'm really just waking up and punching the clock. Like I've got no drive. And, so I decided to take a different approach in my career to now I'm working directly with, veterans, providing a service for veterans. So can you take me through the creation of Trigon? Like why and how you are where you are right now?
Okay. Well, before I went in the Army, I went to school for graphic designs. And then when I graduated, I realized it was very competitive at that time. So I said, well, I'll just do a few years in the Army. I always wanted to be a G.I. Joe man. And so
a few years turned into 23.
Yeah. Well, then I met my wife, and then we had a kid, and then, and I had to support my family.
Yeah.
And so it just, steamrolled that way. And I was like, by that time, I was already in 10 years, might as well finish it out.
Yeah.
And so what started is that I was in an artillery unit when I was an LT, and they're having an artillery ball, and they were looking for somebody to do like flyers and stuff. I'm like, hey, I'm a graphic designer. I can do those flyers and stuff for you. And so they said, okay, but we need a centerpiece for the ball, out of wood and stuff like that. I'm like, sir, I don't do wood. And he's all like, yes, make it happen.
Yeah, you do now.
Yes. And,
figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. Voluntold to do it, and I had to figure it out. And so I made this octagon design where the beer tabs were gravity fed from a lemonade jar with it was in the inside, and it had all the batteries on the handles of the liquor bottle. I mean the liquor beer tab.
Taps.
Yeah. And inside, well, on the top, set on top was cross cannons for the artillery.
Yep.
And then I had a little small smoke machine that filtered up into the cross cannon. So I hit a button, it puffed smoke out of the cross cannon.
So not only did you make this, but you went all like Bill Nye the Science Guy on it. You threw in the smoke machine. You threw in lights and everything.
Well, not lights, but the smoke machine. And the thing is that's when my creative, like, how am I going to make liquor bottles without like a pump or like, compressed, stuff. So I just took
Gravity fed, right?
Yeah, gravity fed. So I took lemonade jars and I bored the hole bigger to fit a beer tab, and I put them in there. Yeah. And then I'm like, well, and I made the cross cannons go on top with the artillery logo and stuff. I'm like, well, how can I make this more? And so
must do bigger, do better.
Yes. And so I found a small smoke machine that fit right inside there, and I made it go up to the tubes. And then, so once I set that up at the ball, I'm like, hey, I want to show you something. And so I said, I hit the button and it puffed smoke, and that was it. And so I got honored for it at the ball. And then the next ball that came, because I changed units, the next ball that came, they asked me to build like a unit. It's supposed to be the unit supposed to build their own centerpieces.
Okay.
The first one I did was for the battalion. So, but each one, so they were hiring me to build a centerpiece. Well, they were winning. They have a competition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So every time they hired me, that person would win. So they banded me from the units calling me to do their designs, to do their builds.
We want him.
Yeah. So
no, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, you have to do it yourself. You can't hire, at the time, Preston to build it for you. Yeah. So that one design kicked off my ability to use graphic designs and woodworking to build, a art piece. That's what I call an art piece. I mean, I do blacks and stuff like that, but basically an art piece. And so over time, I have people like ordering stuff through the military and stuff like that. And then I really couldn't do it full time because, I was still serving and stuff. And that consumed most of my time. And then when I got out, I was doing a little bit more. And then once I left the civilian job and did it full time, then it really grew. Yeah. Because then I had tons of time to design and stuff like that. And then people come at me like elaborate things, So like I've told you, I built in a WWE belt.
That's as soon as I saw that, I had to laugh. I'm like, because I was just watching some like John Cena stuff with my kiddo the other day. It's like, there's all sorts of you can build almost anything. Like I've seen some of your design work. I've had the privilege of seeing behind the scenes at some of the stuff you've got going on in your shop. It's creative, it's customizable, it's clean, and it's meaningful. Like you put thought into it, you put effort into it, and it reflects on every single piece that I've seen you make. Mm-hmm. And I mean, honestly, you've got a well-oiled machine. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, and I know you couldn't do it without your wingman here.
Oh yeah, like I told you before, like I just want to build. Like I have PTSD, and for me to keep my mind active, I just want to design and build things. Like I you know how it is. I've been a leader, I've been a follower. I've already traveled the world. So like I don't want to be at that. I just want to do what I love to do, and design things for not just military, but also, local communities and around the world. Yeah. And I could not do what I'm doing without the support of my wife, because she's the boss. Yeah. Yeah. She runs the business. She does all the the social media, the taxes, and all that stuff like that. I can't do it all.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So she's the support on that.
No, I'm the customer.
So does boss have a name?
My name is Rocio Miller. So when when he told me about this Trigon Creations, and I said let's go for it, because it was, for me, it was very obvious that he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And when he was doing the civilian job, I saw his PTSD when skyrocket.
Yeah.
Like, I got worried. I started thinking like, how is this gonna be next year? How is is he gonna get worse, or things like that? And then he
worrying, is this just a phase? Is he going to grow out of it?
Yeah. And so I was like, no, it's not going to be good. I'm thinking it's not going to be good, right? The civilian job. Yeah. And then he'll come home, and then he'll start doing his like woodworking and design, and I will see a different person. I will be like, oh, okay. So you can see the changes when he was at work. Like when he came from work, he was like down, right?
Yeah.
And he'll start doing his creativity, and he will be happier. And then when he was like telling me about like, we can make this a big business, we can grow, we can we can offer my creations to soldiers so they can have something special, not just the same old,
not just something that's cookie cutter that you walk into a store and you pull it off the shelf. Exactly. Like, it's something that's specific to you, that speaks to you. Yeah. And I think that's what's really incredible is you guys are not just mass producing a bunch of them and leaving them on a shelf for somebody. I mean, you do customized, made to order, and you I cannot wait to post some of the different things that that you've made, because the amount of creativity in it. Anybody can work a saw, anybody can work a drill, any monkey can pick up a paintbrush, but it's how you do it, how you put all the pieces together to bring some depth and some character to the design. That's just where you just blow my mind. Yeah. And unfortunately, there are some people here in the area that will take advantage of that, because it's tried and true. You do really, really good work, and what's the best way to make money? By doing a bunch of mass producing, because there's obviously demand. There's soldiers PCSing or retiring daily here in the area, so it's just easy to take somebody else's design and kind of rip off of it and overcharge veterans. Is that something that you've encountered? Has that been a big thing?
Yeah, we have encountered some local shops and stuff trying to duplicate our work.
Really?
Yeah, we have had soldiers reach out to us, letting us know, or they have thought that it was a Trigon Creation piece. Yeah. And when they reach out and they looked at our work, and they're like, oh my God, they will realize the detail is what they got wasn't Trigon Creation. So
instead of buying a pair of Oakleys, they got a pair of Folkleys. Yeah, and then they go back to you and ask you why it turned out like this, and you're just like, I've never seen this before. I didn't do this.
Yes, exactly. So we have had soldiers where they're like, oh, my plate is messed up. Can you guys fix it? And I'm like, well, can you show me the plaque?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, that's not our plaque.
Yeah.
And we don't, we try not to make those mistakes. First of all, when we do any plaque, any creation, coin holder, anything that we do, we will submit the design for approval. So the customer will approve the design before we start creating it. We'll ask them about colors, if you want the item burnt or not, if you want walnut, everything.
Yeah.
So for us to confirm before we start the project, right? Same with the wording. In each of our, plaques or whatever, we confirm the wording with the customer. And that's check your spelling, check the names, check the dates. Yeah. Once they do confirm, then we, put it on our metal plates or wood plates or anything, for the wording, or laser, the wording. And so that's one of the reasons how I was like, oh, it's hard for us to, like when she said, oh, it's because you guys made the mistake. I'm like, oh, let me see. Because I want to make sure it's our plaque. And it turned out it wasn't.
Wow.
It was just somebody.
And plus we put our logo on it.
Oh, okay.
As well.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't have our logo on it, it's not our plaque.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you'll see Trigon Creations logo on all our,
okay.
our stuff.
So, and I mean, in this particular situation, I mean, how much did they say how much they got charged for it?
Yeah, so actually it was pretty much double the price of what we actually will charge for a plaque of that.
So somebody got a lesser quality product and paid twice as much money.
Yeah.
That's just unreal.
Yeah, and she was I didn't even ask. I mean, the person told me how much her unit paid, and I was at awe. Like I even told her, I'm still at wow.
Yeah.
Like even we try to be very reasonable with prices. The thing I always tell people, our work, and we hand paint everything. We cut the wood. It could be to the shape of Washington State. It could be to the shape of anything, right?
Yeah.
So we do it here in house. We're not buying any Washington State shape from online or from Amazon. We're doing it here. We're cutting it ourselves.
So start to finish, it's all touched by your hands.
From the concept designed, and it could be you telling me, hey, I want you to add, a boat, and I want you to add, Mount Rainier, and I want you to add my unit logo and put it all together into a Washington State design, right?
Mm-hmm.
He goes in the computer and designs all that, puts it all together into a piece.
Or pieces.
Or pieces, yeah. And from there, once the person says that's what I want to go with, then he starts putting everything what he's gonna cut, right? Like I'm gonna cut this, I'm gonna cut that, and then he goes outside and starts doing the cuts, right?
Yeah.
And whatever needs to be lasered, he lasers it. And at the end of that, everything gets put together. It's already, he hands paints it and everything. And that's how we make our work. But everything is here. Like we're not buying, from Amazon or anything like
just
that.
Like, the shadow boxes we do. I don't buy the shadow box and then put the stuff in. I build the shadow box.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people, they want rectangle or square because that's the normal size. But, I can build it any shape they want.
Mm-hmm.
But I've talked to some people and they thought that the shadow box was bought.
Yeah.
And I put it and I was like, no, I actually build, I actually get the wood, I measure it out, I cut it, I make a shadow box. I mean, of course, we we have to purchase the stuff that we don't do, like plexiglass and stuff like that. But the wood wise, the trim that goes around it, it's all made here.
Yeah, even if you don't have, for example, we have had people where they serve it, they did the service way back in the day where they didn't even have a coin, right? That was designed at that time, or they have the design but there's no coin. They're like, I have the design but I can't find a coin. Can you guys make it out of wood? Yes. So we'll make that out of wood and we'll hand paint it. And so now that person has that.
And I've had some clients that, how units have their own personal logo and they have it's on a wall or something like that. And they don't have it digitized or whatever. I have soldiers or whatever, just take a picture of it. And then I can take that picture and convert it into
recreate it.
Recreate it.
Yeah. That's phenomenal. Like I've seen your outfit. I mean, you've got at least 4 different areas that are separate from each other. This one for the cutting, this one for, just everything. This one has a room, this is where you do CNC work, etc. So I mean, you've really grown this into something that's really impressive. And I love seeing all the work that you've been doing. I love seeing the looks on people's faces when you're actually giving them to them, because you can tell that this is something that's really unique to them. This isn't just a generic, something that you picked up off a shelf.
Yeah.
Or the frame guide-ons. That's the go-to that the military have, is a frame guide-on, or the guide-ons that's not the normal give, or the the thing is this with trophy shops, they are quality over quantity, because they just want the buck. They just want to get that out there. And so what you see is what you get.
Quantity over quality.
That's what I meant. Yeah, quality over quantity. And that's what they just want to get that the dollar as fast as they can. And it doesn't matter, and stuff like that. And so we're the opposite. So we're quality over quantity.
Exactly, because you've got the passion, and what you're doing more than anything, you're not trying to become a millionaire. You're doing this to help cure your PTSD, if you will. You're trying to tap back into who you are as a person and be able to still provide for others.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a really good story. That's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because I've been following you guys now for about the last year. I've been seeing what you've been doing. I see a lot of the posts that you put on like Google and Facebook and everything like that. And it's just time and time again, the amount of depth and character that all of your creations have. I'm like, I asked myself, like, I wonder how long it actually took him to do that.
Yeah.
But I think the one that I don't want to say it impressed me the most, but like I've seen your biggest one to date. Like how big is your biggest one?
9 foot round.
9 foot.
Yes, the biggest, most detailed one that I've ever done.
Wow, yeah.
And I had to be able to separate it because it has to be shipped across country.
So it couldn't be one whole piece.
Yeah, so it couldn't be one whole piece.
Yeah,
And so
that's
but
crazy.
also hide the seam where it was separated.
Yeah.
And so
How do you manage that?
very carefully. No,
Yeah.
but that's where my design comes in. I get at the computer, I think of what the idea is. It took about a month. So this war college, it was for a war college, and it had, but it had different, agencies, and it had Homeland Security, FEMA, and all those.
Okay.
And they all had different perspectives on how this design would want, because at the end of cohort, design, give stuff to the schoolhouse so they can display it. And so everybody had their 2 cents to put in, but it took about a month for everybody to say, yes, this is what I want.
Yeah.
And then once they said yes, then I take their ideas and I put it into the design. And it had 22 different agency logos
Wow.
in there, and it had a goose, it had 2 tridents, it had a forest, mountains, it had
The inexplicable goose.
yeah. It was an inside joke thing with that, and
Gotcha.
and I had a sunset seat in the background.
Yeah.
I had the schoolhouse, the different
The
the buildings on each side. I had octopus tentacles that come out of the bottom because it was Navy related.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And plus I had to be able to split it apart so it can be shipped. And so and so what I did is I had, when the forest area, I had the trees, and I had the seam slide behind it, so it would hide the seam.
Okay.
So you don't see the seam, you see the trees.
So that's your biggest one. Is that also maybe your most intricate and complex?
Most detailed one I had to do, because I hand painted all. So I had to do the sunset scene, mural thing in the background, and I had to think about how I'm going to have this 3D up. And so I had to do it 3D. I had to.
It was 3D too.
Yeah, it was 3D.
Big and 3D. Got it.
Yeah, and hand painted.
Because I look at it like, background, foreground, what's going to look, what's going to come up and what's going to be behind.
What has to complement it? It has to stand out, give some a contrast.
Right.
Mhm.
And so, like, okay, well, the sunset's going to be in the back. And then, like, it moves up. The goose is going to be in the front.
Mhm.
And stuff like that. So, and then I
Yes.
had to, like, put plate, and things overlapped each other as well.
Yeah.
So I had to see where those kind of connected. And then each of those agency logos I had to hand paint
Mhm.
by hand all the way through it. So, yeah, it was the most time-consuming, detailed project I've ever done.
And overnighters.
Overnighters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Towards the
Yeah.
end.
Towards the end, yeah.
Well, I mean, clearly you do a lot of stuff locally here in the area,
Mhm.
but you also mentioned that you ship that.
Mhm.
Do you ship all of your products?
No,
Well-
just the people that are out of state, or
Yeah.
we've even gotten a few that.
Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
if you have somebody that's over at Fort Campbell, for example, they're like, hey, I want something.
Yeah. So we just shipped one to Europe. It was a soldier station in Europe,
Okay.
and so he asked us to. He had his own design and everything, and he sent us the design, and he said he wanted us to create it. It was a 24 by 36 piece, and so he did. He created it, and we shipped it to Europe.
And the funny thing is,
Yeah.
is most military personnel send their ideas through PowerPoint. Yeah.
Love the PowerPoint.
Never
guys.
goes away. Some things never change.
But
Yeah.
we ship overseas. We shipped United States. We've done quite a few across the United States.
Yeah, I think earlier you mentioned you've got one that you're going to be sending out to was it Japan?
Well, we got a quote order.
Okay.
We're still kind of in the process of that, but it's for the Navy. Yes.
Okay.
That they're stationed in Japan.
But Japan nonetheless. Like so, Europe, Japan, it doesn't matter if
Yeah.
you have a client in need. You guys will work out the
Yep.
details
Yeah.
and figure out what you can do to serve them.
Yep.
I love
Yeah.
that. It's
Just
awesome.
because we want to offer what we have to pretty much anybody.
Well, the thing is, what I figured out these days, that's why I brought it up to her. I mean, there's places out there, but there's not a lot of places out there that does custom
Yes.
to them.
Yes.
So it's like the order online is what you see is what you get, and the dimensions is what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And so that's where we come in. It's like, hey, And I mean, we do military. We also do, civilian as well. If they say, "Hey, I want a custom cornhole boards for somebody, in Texas, and with these kind of designs," then we do that for them.
Yeah.
Even horses.
Yeah. So someone from Colorado wants me to build a 10-foot tall 3-dimensional horse for their bar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So we're still
Yeah.
we're still thinking about that. Yeah, but it's just everything in general. And I always tell people, just think about a shop where you can just bring your idea, even though it could be the most weirdest thing, right? It could be, hey, I want a US flag, but I want a bird over here and I want a cat over here. You know what I'm saying? Even the most weirdest thing, he will do it.
I want a pony riding a flamingo in the middle of the Sahara. Like, what?
Yeah, or the javelin. Yeah, I can create it.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you're making a wrestling belt for somebody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I see a lot of the things that you've got going on. I'm like, that's different. That's different. That's different. It's just not stuff that you see every day.
Yeah, we have had customers said, "Hey, I went to your Facebook page and everything I see is different. Like, yes, you will have your Washington State plaques, right?
Yeah.
Shape, but the things inside are different. Like, one's are Mount Rainier in it, or one is something else, or one is, you know what I mean? And so, and then she was like, "Well, how can you do so much different?" I said, because we are not stuck on just one design.
Yeah.
We can just,
like you said, mass
continue.
produce it.
Yeah.
We're not just gonna we're not mass producing. We are creating that piece for you. Even if it's a one-time piece that we created for that one person, that's that. But that was for that person.
And I bring up a different side of it. I consider myself innovative. Making something from nothing.
You want the challenge of somebody wants to do something and you're like, I think I can do that.
Yeah, well, there's no hurt in asking, right?
It's just like, that's him.
Yeah, no hurt in asking, right? So I'll give you a good example. So I went to a unit, Colonel ordered a plaque. And he says, "I don't know if this is in your wheelhouse, but I'm building."
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Yes, pretty much.
They already had somebody building this Raven, but they didn't have a stand for it. So this tower. And so, and I was like, "Sir, I can build anything," what I'm saying? So he goes, "Well, I want this 7-foot tall rock tower." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." And so I built the shell made out of plywood, and I was going to put foam and you cut the foam as like rocks. And if you put polyurethane onto foam, it hardens like a rock. You know? So I was going to do that. So he goes, No. I want the rocks outside this building put on. I was like, "Sir, I can't even lift that from my house." He goes, "Well, build it here."
Yes.
And I was like, "Okay."
On the spot?
On the spot.
Oh my God.
And so I stripped the foam off of it, and I took it there and I laid it on the side. And what I did is I just put cement, and then I just, put the rocks in it. And I laid it out on the ground first.
You love those rocks.
Yeah. I laid it out to see how each of them will fit.
Yeah.
And then because there's some other rock pillars that are there and they are aged to look, he goes, "I want something like that, but taller." And so I'm like, "Okay." And I'm thinking about, well, how am I going to do this? Those are 100 years old.
2 words, more and bigger.
Yeah. Challenge accepted. So I did that, and I just rotated it and it took like 10 people to lift it vertical. But what I did is I added a stain to it to age it and to look like those other pillars. And so now they have a piece forever sitting in there, and unless they have a forklift.
That thing ain't going nowhere.
No.
So it all worked out, and they were impressed. And so I was like,
And there you go.
So I mean, most of what I do is wood, but I mean, if someone comes up with some crazy idea, if I can't do it, I just say I can't do it. If I can do it, I will.
Okay, so you're in the woodworking world. You're kind of a jack of all trades. Yeah, obviously you do a lot of retirement, PCS awards. You do a lot of just custom stuff in general. So I know you've got that mastered. Is there anything else that you maybe get into? Like I think you mentioned before, like you do stuff with like acrylics.
Oh yeah. So we also do resin art, and we do vinyl work, and we combined all those crafty, you know, elements into the wood elements as well, you know. So if, for example, we're doing it's not military related, it's just for a decorative piece where he's doing the wood part, where it's the 3D parts, and then he's doing a mural which he's hand painting.
Nice.
And then we're gonna include resin for like the sun, or you know, or things like that, right? And so so that's when we combine sometimes what I know to what he knows.
Yeah.
So it's like a beach scene where it has the water and the waves. With the,
Oh yeah, I saw that in there.
Yeah, using with the epoxy resin and adding color and stuff like that. And so what it is you know, it's cigar glass containers with the client uses, put sand for every place that they go. And so there's like 40 slots in there where so she can add like if she has sand from California, sand from Mexico, whatever, they gather that sand and they bring it back with them so they can remember the trips that they take, and so they have little slots for all those.
That's
things.
awesome.
Yeah, so that piece gonna be pretty cool, but you know, we're still working on it.
And you've got pictures of other stuff that you've got created. Where do you put all your pictures of past creations?
So we have our website, trigoncreations.com.
Okay.
But we also we share a lot on our Facebook page.
Okay.
And then on Instagram and also on TikTok.
Gotcha.
But yeah, basically Facebook. Google too. I mean, we have Google. I upload our pictures constantly up there, you know, so that people can see our work. And so just so they can see that we do different.
So let's just say that I was somebody who is interested in, you know, maybe getting a quote for design. What would be the best way to get a hold of you?
So usually the people, if they find our website, there is a contact form where they will fill it out or whatever, or they can just email us to trigoncreations@gmail.com.
Okay.
I get text, I get Facebook, and I get Instagram. So constantly we're, you know, getting from different, but the best one will be trigoncreations@gmail.com.
Okay.
Which is our email.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are going to want to ask questions.
Yeah.
Maybe see if they can test you. Can you do this?
Right.
So
Well, I've had a lot of people ask me, I don't think you can do this, or can you do this? I'm like, we'll see.
bet me.
Yeah.
Yes, or I have a crazy idea, but I don't know how to put it together.
Yeah.
And then we're
Some
like,
people just come with like hand doodles. You know, like we thought something was a dinosaur, but
and it was a lion.
Yeah, it was a lion. You know, so that's why I asked questions.
This is a liger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I asked questions. And, you know, I asked a lot of questions on like, you know, how do you want this to look and stuff. And then, you know, I just don't do like one design. Like, hey, you good? No, we go through iterations.
Yeah.
So to make sure that we have exactly what they want.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's like you said, it's got to be a process. But people, when people look to get stuff like this, it's not for, you know, a one and done. It's not like you buy a bottle of booze, you drink the bottle of booze, you had your fun, and then you throw the bottle away. No, like it's something that they're going to cherish. They're going to have it around for a long time, especially when it's made with, you know, quality stuff, and you work together to put the, you know, the design into action.
Yeah.
So,
and just, you know, one of the things I always tell people, because they ask me, how you guys different, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, what other place you'll be able to add everything you want on one piece of wood or art, right? And have this person paint it all, hand paint it to the smallest detail. I mean, he has done a logo this small, hand paint the whole thing with all. I mean, that one was
Toothpicks.
like just
Toothpicks.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. And where are you gonna get that? You know, Google it. Like it's.
And who out there is going to take the time to talk to you one-on-one and conversate with you and have, you know, take their ideas into consideration, and also cost effective too. Just for example, it's like we build the shadow boxes, and if you look at the shadow box, you have all the metals, right?
Yeah.
All those metals are made out of wood. They're not bought. You know, and I mean, we try to tell them like, hey, they say they need to go to clothing sales and buy all these metals and stuff. I'm like, no, you don't have to. Because I make them out of wood, so they don't have to pay the extra money to go get all those stuff, because one, they're like each per thing is like $14 a piece.
Yeah.
And they're like maybe like the rank is like this size. What I do is I make them bigger so they consume the area, so it doesn't look off. Like
You actually highlight the real emphasis of the coin.
Well, I'm really like OCD perfectionist kind of guy, and I tell her all the time, I say,
That's not a bad quality to have doing this.
Right.
Yes,
I tell her is like if
No,
I see the mistake, they can see the mistake.
Yeah.
And so and I try to look at the perspective like how it's going to look in the box, or how's it going to look. Is it cockeye? Is it I'm really like
Attention to detail.
attention to detail.
With everything. And like you say, our uniform boxes, shadow boxes, I always tell them, because they were like, what do you need? What everything you need. And I said, your uniform and any original things you want in there that you don't want us to recreate. Everything else we recreate. It could be patches, it could be ranks, it could be coins, it could be.
And we think about the consideration of the uniform itself. Some places they cut it or stuff like that. We don't. We make a pocket in the back, because we can do the full uniform or the half uniform, but I make a pocket in the back so I can slide the other half in behind so it doesn't damage.
Hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, so it doesn't damage it. So none of it's cut or anything like that. Because I serve, I know how it is, and it's even though that may outside world to understand, we understand the meaning of it. So why would I want to cut that?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So I make sure that that's accommodating in there, so it's not messed up in any way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's we just do different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you mentioned, taking the time to talk to somebody. And again, I was going to say, I appreciate you taking the time. You invited me out here to your house, take a look at your, facility, and kind of get a chance to see, everybody likes to eat sausage, but nobody wants to see how it's actually made. No, it's actually really cool the way you guys got everything set up here. And I'm anxious to see what you guys are doing in the future. Yeah. So appreciate you having me out here.
Thanks.
For those of you watching at home, these guys are awesome. He's got a really good story, local, and but again, it doesn't matter if you're local, because apparently they'll ship a 9 foot tall, 2-piece item. So if you want to go ahead and see if he can, match your creativity, challenge him, give him something challenging to work on. Yeah. Down below, I'm going to include contact link, their Facebook link, website, all that. So if you want to reach out to them, talk to them about something you want to have created, reach on out. But until next time, take care.